Well, hiya, Peanut. Let's just nip that fear of heights right in the bud because we're going up to Cañon City and higher to the Arkansas River and Bighorn Canyon and higher still to the rim of the Royal Gorge, crossing America's scariest bridge on foot for some high-flying, zip-lining, trout fishing fun, all within 30 minutes of Cañon City and less than an hour from our base camp back in Colorado Springs. This is episode 2 of a 3-part Crushing Colorado series, by the way, so if you missed the first part, you better back your ass up and check out Garden of the Gods, because we're crushing all of it, everything, in this little trilogy. You better buckle up, Buttercup, because you're rolling with Tipsy Gypsy Travels, the anti-travel channel that refuses to serve the usual milquetoast bullshit. Yeah, we're maybe a little rough around the edges here. And come to think of it, about all we offer is hot beer and shitty service, but at least that hot beer is free. I'm a hail chaser, a traveling dent guy, and as long as those diamonds keep falling from the sky, pirates like me are running all over creation, following the hailstorms, fixing the cars, and fucking around. And guess what? We're all out of cars. Once the storms dry up and I'm back home and off the hail trail, that's when the whole world of travel opens right up to Annie and I, and our own travel adventures kick off for 6 months straight. I'm Mike, aka MC Norris, published author and tipsy gypsy, and believe me, I got stories to tell.
How do you spend your one day off per week?
Ugh is right. 6 days a week of 11-hour days pushing metal, and I'm gonna relax now with Catfish Brian, who is forever the morning person in our duo. It takes me a little longer to come around.
Good content, capture our own fucking deaths.
Hey, man, get on the other side of the road. Where are you driving, Jack?
But after 32 ounces of black coffee, an hour drive up through Cañon City into the Arkansas River headwaters in Bighorn Canyon, that crisp, clean Colorado air is flowing through my nostrils, filling my lungs, and bringing me around to the task at hand. We'll follow the hailstorms, fix the cars, and fuck around. And guess what? We're all out of cars.
All the cars got some fucking around to do.
Now, I'm going to break it all down for you nice and simple to the point where you're going to be catching trout within your first hour on the Arkansas River. But first things first, this is a rather huge and daunting area we're dealing with, so before we get to cracking, I'm going to need to whip out my one-eyed Willie. The shittiest drone that money can buy. Let's take to the skies and have a look at the layout of this pristine river system. Might want to pop a couple Dramamine. I think I paid around $250 for One-Eyed Willie. They advertised it as 4K footage. But you know what word never appeared in the specs? Gimbal. You know what that word means? I didn't either when I bought Willie. I learned that word a year later, and if you don't see the word gimbal in your drone spec sheet anywhere, might not want to buy that drone. I mean, Willie's done his job, I guess, as an experimental aircraft in the hands of a novice test pilot. I figured I'd wind up crashing it anyhow, but so far, I've been lucky. You're caught in a downdraft, Willie. You gotta pull up, man. You're losing altitude. You gotta pull up. Pull up, Willie. Pull up. Huh. I don't know what the fuck that was all about. Do you? Might want to go ahead and smash that subscribe button before the next episode, if you know what I'm saying. Fishing and catching fish aside, this is the whole point of being out here on the Arkansas. This right here. Sure, after a few hours of not catching shit, it's gonna start to become a drag. And yeah, once you get back home to your people and explain that although you didn't catch a damn thing, it didn't matter because being out there in nature was the blah blah blah, something something wah 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 wah. So fuck all that noise, let's teach you how to catch some fish. It's easy. There's absolutely no reason why you can't catch a trout or 10 if you follow this handy little blueprint to success. First, what to bring along. Besides your fishing license, here's what you need to pick up at Walmart. 1 backpack full of ice, water, and snacks. 1 fishing rod. Keep it simple, dude. A net. Some rooster tail lures in metallic or black. A pair of scissors. A hook extractor. A pair of water shoes. Sunblock, and bug spray. That's it. Here's my trick to keeping your net on the ready. Tie a chunk of driftwood to it, stick the chunk of driftwood, in the front of your pants.
This is what a professional fisherman looks like.
Looks like an idiot.
And then there's me. Crocs.
I guess there's no wrong way to skin a cat, but maybe there's something to Brian's dress code because he's already catching fish. Or maybe that's because he's a pro. Check out his YouTube channel over at CFB Outdoors and find his episode on this exact same outing with me, and you'll get a very good and thorough education on the nuances of trout fishing from someone who knows what they're talking about. Step 2. You've got your fishing license and your 6 or 7 Walmart items. Now where do you go? Well, you're going to be going through Cañon City on Highway 50. Set your GPS for the unincorporated community of Parkdale. It's basically just a parking lot with a takeout point for rafters and kayakers. Once you get there, you don't have to stop there or even pull in. Public fishing waters start here, and they run up through Bighorn Canyon all the way to Leadville, right alongside Highway 50 the whole way. You're going to see pullovers on both sides of the highway all the way up through the canyon. Pull over into any spot you like. My only advice here is to pick a small one small enough that only your vehicle fits into. Not a great big one with restrooms and water fountains and pay stations and shit like that. Nuh-uh. Not unless you're coming out here to make friends instead of catch fish. I got enough friends already.
See? That little spot right there? Only one car fits. This is mine. All mine.
Now that you've staked your personal claim on a quarter mile of pristine gold medal trout fishing stream, go get after it. Find wider areas with some boulders, structure, areas where deeper holes meet sharp bends, faster water, and cast into those slack spots, the swirling eddies, or that weird turbid hem that runs between the shallow fast water and the deeper, slower water. It ain't rocket science. Lastly, the timing. The morning fish bite is between 6:30 a.m. and about 10:30 a.m. That's when you need to be there. By 11 o'clock, the fish are going to quit, and that's about when you'll be ready to quit as well and head back down to Cañon City for a bite to eat. I'm not going to get into the rules and regulations on this stretch of water. That shit you shall have to Google, but please be cool and conservation-minded and don't worry about catching fish to eat. I promise you, they ain't that great.
Let's put him back.
Holy shit.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep, it's just that easy. Easier for some than others, obviously, but you don't need a $500 worth of fly fishing gear and the whole getup, waders and all that. Just grab you a pair of Walmart Crocs for $6 and pack you a redneck spinning rod and you're off to the races, buddy. Looks like we're getting pretty close to Cañon City. You can tell when you're getting close to city limits by a couple of clues. The first is all the billboards advertising every type of outdoor activity and attraction that you could imagine, wet and dry. Cañon City is like a little launching pad for everything on your bucket list. The second clue you're getting close to Cañon City are all the prisons. Some of these are the Supermax slammers where they keep the worst of the worst behind bars, like the Riddler, Lex Luthor, and Black Manta. One morning we saw deer running around the prison yard, and Brian made the observation that if it was just that easy for a deer to get down into the yard, then it must not be too hard to get out. And that probably explains why Batman's job is never done. They keep escaping. Anyhow, we're just here for lunch before heading up to the #1 must-do activity near Cañon City, in my opinion. That would be to visit the Royal Gorge. There's 2 joints in town that I'll recommend for lunch after a morning of fishing. The first is the Lost Cajun, a great little gumbo shack that lets you sample everything before you make your selection. But my other fave is the place I'm taking you right now, World's End Brewery. I stumbled onto this place a few years ago, and we've been back a few times since. They're the only brew pub in Cañon City, so they don't really have to be all that good, but they are. In their minds, I guess it makes sense to go with an apocalyptic sounding name, and then go with the whole steampunk thing indoors with faux gas lighting, cogs and levers and doohickeys, all cobbled together for a turn-of-the-century industrial vibe. While none of it really added up in my mind, it's still a cool, funky little jewel of a place in the heart of the Wild Wild West. Their menu is basically pub fare, but their taps list is ridiculous. ridiculously huge. They're very experimental and just having a whole lot of fun back there in the brew lab. I was about to order a dozen wings until I came across a menu item that stopped me dead in my tracks. The Pueblo Slopper. What are the odds they had an open-faced sandwich named after that chick I dated in high school? 1/3 beef patty slopped with cheese and onions and green pork chili. Yes, please. The Pueblo Slopper sells itself. Figured I'd pair that with a snowberry wheat ale. And after laughing out loud at the bartender's shirt, I had to ask if it came in any other color but purple tie-dye. And it did. After talking some beer geek stuff with him for a minute, he poured me out a free shot of their 27% barley wine. Are you freaking kidding me? I had to ask my new buddy a serious question once my food arrived. I said, how long do you figure a person could live on a diet of nothing but 27% barley wine and Pueblo sloppers? That question froze him in place. He stared off to the side, deep in thought, and eventually turned back to me and replied, I really don't know. I promise you, he's still thinking about that one every time a customer orders a slopper. Here we are, the Royal Gorge. Just 5 minutes outside of Cañon City, this jaw-dropping land feature is not one for the faint of heart. Again, with the no drones rules. Couldn't fly one near Garden of the Gods, and now the Royal Gorge? Man, I couldn't think of a cooler spot for drone footage than this place, but request denied. Royal Gorge is home to the scariest bridge in North America, where you can cross on foot if you're feeling up to it. I was. And besides, once you make it across, there's way scarier ways to get back if you can't bear the thought of crossing that bridge again. You got plenty of options, my friends. You can climb into a swaying glass box full of nervous farts, or you can take the world's highest zip line if you'd prefer to feel the wind in your hair. Now, besides flying drones, the other thing that's apparently frowned upon is a pet parrot on your shoulder. Dr. Doolittle here brought along his dog and his talking parrot, and all three of them were turned away at the front of the ticket line. Bye. He was so proud of that thing too. Look at him. Just hoping people would take photos of him and ask him questions. Because it's all about you, dude, isn't it? You and your fucking parrot. Now, I'm not particularly afraid of heights, but I do have what I consider to be a healthy respect for them, and for the adverse effects of the force of gravity on the human body. So although the bridge didn't really bother me, I just didn't feel like the zip lines and cable cars were really calling out to me quite loudly enough to get my attention. When you're up here, looking out over that rail into the yawning chasm directly underfoot, you start entertaining some morbid curiosities, like, I wonder if anyone has ever jumped off of this thing. Well, I had to Google that shit, and the answer is yes. Many, many times, in fact. Royal Gorge Bridge is actually a very popular spot for, people looking to end things in dramatic and spectacular fashion, if you will. I'll spare you the numbers and all the stories, but feel free to look it up if you're curious. Yeesh. One thing I've learned over the last 10 years or so is that if you can imagine it, whatever it might be, someone out there has already done it. The internet is a very scary place, Peanut. Once you make it all the way across that scary bridge, well, that's how they get you, folks. Even though we'd already enjoyed a delicious Pueblo slopper not too long ago, how are you supposed to turn down Bridge View Barbecue when it's the only source of food and hydration on the far side? Well, I probably should have turned it down, but I didn't. Definitely not in Texas anymore. Mr. Fuzzy Nuts here approved of the cornbread, but he wasn't quite as friendly as his German cousin in the last episode, out there in the Edelweiss beer garden. He's going to require further efforts toward domestication, my friends, and that is where you come in. Hope you enjoyed part 2 of Crushing Colorado. In the third and final chapter, dropping in the next week or so, we're going to be headed into Manitou Springs, the hippy-dippy sister city to Colorado Springs, where if you know, you know, and if you don't, you're about to. Be sure to subscribe and stick around for the conclusion of this epic adventure and for the fateful final flight of One-Eyed Willie. Dun dun. You're caught in a downdraft, Willie. You gotta pull up, man. You're losing altitude. You gotta pull up. Pull up, Willie. Pull up.